So let's look at number 7, which is y equals negative sine half of x plus 3. I want you to pause the video. I want you to fill in those 4 things, okay? So what you should get for the amplitude is 1. The period should be 4 pi, no phase shift, and a vertical shift of 3, up 3. I put a little note that it does reflect. So what that means is if we think, again, making a little sketch of what that sine graph looks like, if it reflects, that negative right here means it's gonna just do the opposite, right, over that x-axis. So this is kind of the premise of what our graph should look like with that negative. So again, what I like to do is I like to kind of work with the amplitude and period. So again, starting at 0, going to 4 pi, I need to have this shape extended through there. So halfway through, that's 2 pi. And so I'm going to mark at 0, starts at 0, ends at 0, hits in the middle. Now, a little bit different. We see it's going down first, right? That's that 1 part. So halfway, I need this to be accurate. Halfway is at pi. I'm going to go down to -1. Halfway through here now, we can see it's going up. Oops, I went a little too high. So hitting that 1 spot, and then I'm going to extend that, okay? And we do that check. Did we reflect? Amplitude of 1. There's 1, 1. It's reflected. Period of 4 pi. Now what we didn't do though is we didn't shift these points up 3. So that's the second part that I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide each point up 3 units. And usually what I do with that is I mark it, if I did a dot here, I'll mark it with an X so I can see the translation. So this is 1, 2, 3. That's going to hit here. 1, 2, 3. Hit here. 1, 2, 3. Here. And finally 1, 2, 3 and hit here. Now again, this is also the midline. So what would be helpful too is I drew that midline to make sure that my points are hitting that center. You can see how it hits 3. And it should be a little bit better drawn. I scoop it down, concavity, scoop it back up, and then that hill portion. And I'm going to erase that original one that I had. Okay, so do the check again. Is it stretch 4 pi units? Sure is. Is it amplitude of 1 from the midline? So now I'm checking. There's 1. Here's 1 unit, but it's reflected. And then I shifted it up 3 units. So that looks good. So let's look at one with multiple pieces. So what I want you to do, pause the video, fill these pieces in, and then unpause it to make sure that you have the right ones. So we should get 3 for the amplitude, 2 pi for the period, phase shift should be pi over 2 right, and then vertical shift is -2 down. Notice I'm sketching what that shape should look like for cosine. So I'm going to show you 2 approaches to this. This is how I do it. Again, might be different than what you were taught or how you like to do it. I like to kind of block off the amplitude and the period first. So knowing it's a full 2 pi here to here, I need that amplitude to go higher though, okay, but I still need to kind of mimic it. So cosine starts high, ends high. This time though, it's starting at 3, it's ending at 3. Those are my starting points. Halfway in between, that's low. So where's halfway in between? Right here. That's going to be at -3. And again, we need to be accurate. So halfway in between here, it's hitting that midline. It's at 0. So this piece, those 5 pieces, hits the amplitude and the period. Now, again, this is how I prefer to do it. Now I'm going to slide each of those points over, pi over 2 to the right, and then down 2. And again, I'll mark them a little bit different. Now, what I usually do is I see how far this is. See how this is 1 big box? So I'm going to count 1 big box for my pi over right and then down 2. So slide it over right, pi over 2, and then down 1 unit, 2 units. That's right there. Okay? So this point moved there. I'm going to erase that just so I don't get confused by it. Now, this one, I'm going to go over 1 pi over 2, which is 1 big box, and then down 2 units. It's going to slide here. So this one slid here, I'm going to get rid of that one, okay? And I'm going to repeat that a couple of times. Slide over, and then I'm going to slide over 2 units. I'm going to go off the graph just a little bit. Get rid of that one. I'm going to slide this, and then over down 3. Sorry, down 2. That's going to hit there. And then this one over to the right and down 2. So let's check the midline. That's that vertical piece that should be at -2. So my midline should hit at -2, and you can see those red dots hitting there. So if I go to connect my now red dots, I'm connecting here, connecting here, connecting here, connecting here. Check if that looks like what we have, that shape right here, right? That wavy V. Check the amplitude. Do we have a height of 3 right here? Okay, this is 2, this is 1, so that height is 3. This is 2, and then this is 3, and that's 3, so that amplitude looks good. You can see that I'm starting to the right, and you can see that midline is down, okay? So that's one way to do it. I'm going to erase this to show you the other way. So the other way actually kind of does completely the opposite. It kind of uses the phase shift and the vertical shift, then does the amplitude. So phase shift, vertical shift, saying that it's right, pi over 2. So my starting point is pi over 2. And I guess I should say it does work with the period too. So I need to go a length of pi over 2. So I need it, normally it's here, so I need to scoot that over and it's here. So from here to here, this length is pi over 2, that checks that pi, that 2 pi period. So again, I need to fit that shape over there. The next thing comes from the midline. I need to see that that midline is at -2. So I know that center of my graph is going to be here. So again, cosine, if we can see up here, starts higher. So from the midline, I should go 3 units up. 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units. That's right. Sorry, erase that. That's 1, 2, 3. That's right there. That's the starting point. Remember, it should end at the same place for cosine. Halfway in between is this 3 pi over 2. But now it's 3 lower. 1, 2, 3. And that's about there for that bottom. Halfway in between should hit those center lines. And then we're going to scoop it this way, scoop it that way, scoop it that way, and this way for the concavity. And again, do a check. Amplitude, is that 3? Is that 3? Is that 3? Okay, we checked the amplitude. Is this length from left to right of our shape 2 pi? And did it start pi over 2 to the shifted right? And is it vertically shifted down 2 units?